During my lifetime as a football fan, I've really seen the Cincinnati Bengals run the gamut in terms of the level of where they are in the NFL consciousness. In the late 80s, they were a really good football team. They came that close to beating the San Francisco 49ers in Super Bowl 23. That close, like really that close. But in the 90s, they became affectionately known as the Bengals, in large part because of their failures in my favorite thing in the entire world, the NFL draft. The bottom line is where you have an entire decade where you draft very poorly, it's not hard to figure out why a team struggles for an entire decade, along with some bad head coaching decisions, to say the very least. The Bengals had some success in the 2000s, then kind of fell off a little bit. But they're not the Bengals anymore, that's for sure. They've made the playoffs 2 straight years, and to me, anybody that watched my 2012 season recaps knows I've been very, very big on the Cincinnati Bengals as being a real, legitimate Super Bowl contender out of the AFC in 2013. Why, you ask? Well, let's look at the offensive side of the football first. You've got a guy like A.J. Green. You've got a top 5, to me, elite NFL wide receiver. You've got a young, promising quarterback in Andy Dalton, who's established himself as at least a good NFL starter that still yet needs to take that next step. He's only been around for, 2 years now. He has time. In this year 3 of him as an NFL starting quarterback, we're going to find out if he can take that next step and be more than just a good NFL quarterback and become a very, very good NFL quarterback or not. The Bengals in the offseason added some pieces to the offense to go with the guys like the A.J. Greens and the Jermaine Greshams and the Benjarvis Green-Ellises, drafting Tyler Eifert in the first round, drafting Giovanni Bernard out of North Carolina in the second round, giving themselves another tight end to play with, and a more explosive, complementary running back that can catch balls out of the backfield and bring that kind of home run threat that the backfield was really lacking in Cincinnati last year. They re-signed Andre Smith. You've got a nice, solid offensive line there. There's a lot to like on that side of the football for the Bengals. This is, in fact, a pretty balanced football team. Their offense can win them some games, and definitely their defense can win some games. This is a very good, and also somewhat young unit, with guys like Michael Johnson and in particular Geno Atkins, who are complete studs. And the Bengals just re-signed Atkins long-term, which was the right thing to do, was good for business. You look at this Bengals defense, to me they're on the cusp of potentially becoming an elite unit under head coach Marvin Lewis. That close. Will the additions of veterans such as James Harrison, will that help put them over the mountaintop, if you will, and make them an elite defense? With a guy like Harrison bringing leadership and experience to the outside linebacker position, that remains to be seen. The bottom line is I really am impressed with the Cincinnati Bengals organization. They've done very, very well in the draft in recent years. I liked how they drafted this year yet again. You look at some of the matchups to watch that will let you know whether or not this Bengals team is just another wild card team this year, or if they can be an elite team, a real legitimate Super Bowl contender out of the AFC. Some games to watch. You look at Week 3 at home against Green Bay, Week 5 at home against New England, Week 10 at Baltimore. These, to me, are must-win games. They get Green Bay and New England both at home. The Bengals, if they want to establish that they're legit and they're a threat, they must win both of those games at home, and they must beat Baltimore at least once, if not twice this year. I think the Bengals are the best team in the AFC North this year. I think they're going to win the division. They're going to win 11 games, maybe even 12. They may be banging it out to get a first-round bye, but even if they don't, I still am leaning very strongly towards picking them to be the AFC's representative in this year's Super Bowl.